All right, so it looks like things are getting pretty interesting with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We talked about there being some performance updates before in a previous video, and it looks like that is absolutely the case. I've had a number of people reach out to me and say, hey, look, I know, there's leaks and there's stuff going on when it comes to PC and all that, but I do know that there is performance updates in terms of the game running better than what we saw beforehand. But before we get into any of that, guys, please make sure you check out the link in the description. We do have a giveaway for a Nintendo Switch OLED, the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom edition. I'll be giving it away on May 12th, so make sure you go there to the link in the description, vote on the community page what your favorite Legend of Zelda game is of all time. Drop a comment there, and I will be picking a winner randomly once again on May 12th, and we'll also have multiple other giveaways afterwards, so look out for that. And so that's absolutely something that is good. We want to know that the game is running better than what we saw, so that's something that I think is pretty cool if it actually ends up happening, which I do think that is the case. Now, it's always hard to look at some of these things that I get from some people because there are people who are playing on PC, playing overclock switches, hacking, all this different type of stuff, so you never know what's actually the real deal, like what you're going to get when you take the retail copy, you put it into your Nintendo Switch, you play it there. No dumping, no ROMs, no any of this other stuff that people do, but actually play it natively on your Nintendo Switch. And how does it play? And we're talking about across all the different systems, right? Whether you're playing on a regular Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo Switch Lite, a Switch OLED. I mean, there's sometimes it's the same specs in there, but sometimes things happen. So how does it look when it's docked? How does it look when it's portable play? How does it look when you've been playing for a number of hours? There's like a variety of different things here, right? So I'm always kind of cautious when I get these type of reports, but it does seem like things do clear up with this. So it is a pretty big update when it comes down to it. Now, in Tears of the Kingdom, obviously a sequel follow-up to one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion, but that game, Breath of the Wild, did have some issues at launch, so it was absolutely a concern. Now, from what I've seen from the game that Nintendo has officially shown off, this game is absolutely using every single inch that it has in terms of power or overhead space from their experience developing the game on the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch, but specifically here now just the Switch, to have all the other things that they're doing, right? Powering the physics, powering everything else, and actually making the game look a bit cleaner and better than what it had before. So I knew that it was never going to have some type of drastic 60 frames per second, or it's going to have like 4K. Switch is even capable of that. But what I felt that they could do was absolutely improve the performance from a day one perspective, so there didn't have to be multiple patches that have some hitches, because they actually ended up patching out some of those hitches that were on the Nintendo Switch. Now, you're porting over Wii U code, you're having certain issues there that can cause some problems, but this is just on the Nintendo Switch. And of course, the Switch is kind of old hardware at this point, so it's something that they probably spent a lot of time optimizing, a lot of time working on. So it seems like all of that hard work is going to pay off here, because the game is running better than what we saw from the preview event that Nintendo had in New York back a little bit ago. So I'm excited for that, but overall I'm just excited for the game. Not necessarily the performance stuff. I felt that they would kind of figure that out, but essentially have it to where day one or very near day one, there would be a better experience and also a way better game. And that's the most important thing. I think people can talk about resolution and frame rate and all that definitely plays a part into it, but how is the game? How does it actually play when you're playing it? Like, are you thinking about how bad it's running, how good it's running? What are you thinking about? How does it play as you're playing? And I think that Tears of the Kingdom has the highest, I would just say, level of immersiveness, just even based on the previews that we've seen here, the highest level to where I could say stuff like, man, I think this is going to be the best open world game of all time. I think it's going to be better than a lot of the games that have came out. And we're going to see very soon here, right? Reviews are going to be coming. Obviously, there's reviewers playing the game because they have to put it out there. So I think that this stuff is going to help out when it comes to the performance being better, of course. And I'm hoping that things all kind of work out when it comes to like the full scope and scale of the game. Now, let's talk about this next topic here, guys, because there are some issues when it comes to the leaks. Now, I talked about this before. If you haven't seen my video where I discussed that the Nintendo Switch leaks with Tears of the Kingdom is going to change Nintendo, well, that already seems to be happening, because we've gotten a number of reports about DMCA takedowns or some things like that. There was a content creator on Twitter that talked about how he was speculating on footage and not even using anything that was, leaked or anything like that. And there was a takedown or something like that. Now, there is some confusion on what he actually showed in the video. Some people are saying that he showed stuff from things that shouldn't have been up, like IGN had some type of leak or something like that in terms of a feature they weren't supposed to show. So some people are saying that, but still, you got to be very careful there. But I felt that Nintendo would actually be crazy about these leaks that are happening. So it's just one of those things that's happening right now. There also is more DMCA takedown requests from like certain places that are doing certain ways, like dump ROMs or something like that, dump keys from like your own Switch. That's got people up into a tizzy as well. Now, I don't know all the details on that. However, I know Spawnwave did talk about it in terms of what was happening there. I'm just not super well versed in all of that type of stuff just because I don't do that. I don't do all that. So I don't really know, but I just know that all that stuff is happening. So just be careful, whether you're a content creator, somebody putting stuff on Twitter or whatever the case is. Like, I knew that once the game was leaked and people started spoiling and sharing the game all around and all of that, a week plus before the game launched, that there was going to be a big overcorrection here. Like, that's usually how it happens. Something happens and it's like, oh man, maybe you should do this. And then it's like a super overcorrection. And people that are kind of maybe even just doing stuff that's normal might get stuff taken down. Or even like with this place, it's even kind of, I would say, sketchy based off of like some of the copyright laws and where some of these places getting their stuff taken down in terms of dumping and all of that. So it was going to be a big mess once all that happened. So that's why I felt that like going forward in the future, Nintendo's probably going to do, I would probably say like on Switch 2, if they don't get the security stuff fixed very quickly or whatever the case is there, they're probably going to start doing digital only releases at first, like at launch, and then like maybe a few days later, that's when the physical edition comes and you can just go pick it up when it's ready. I think that that's something that Nintendo's probably looking into because they didn't have that same leaked online stuff with Metroid Prime Remastered, and of course all digital games, not like that either, unless somebody gets the game digital. But I think the biggest thing here is that the leaks, right? When the leaks start coming out and the game starts being spoiled for people, and of course the piracy or whatever else you want to say with it, that's when things can just really go sour quickly with all of this. So I feel that Nintendo's absolutely going to go after quite a number of different things and entities here that are spreading that in different types of ways. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how things work out going forward in the future, because this is one of their biggest games of all time and it's leaked already multiple weeks beforehand, and overall it's just something that Nintendo doesn't want. So yeah, I can definitely see Nintendo overcorrecting here quite a bit and changing things up and how the games are going forward in the future, probably with the next system. I don't see anything like with the Nintendo Switch, the standard Switch. I think that they're just going to do status quo, but I think that regular Nintendo Switch support is going to be whittling down, and then they're going to be moving over to the next Switch. Although I do feel that the current Switch right now, and I feel that they can support it a bit longer with certain games here and there. I don't think they're just going to drop it because they make way too much money off of the current Switch. People still buy millions upon millions of games and sell subscriptions, all that. So I don't see them dropping it like a cold turkey like they did with the Wii U and like they did before with previous systems. This is a whole different scenario, but we'll see exactly how it works out once Nintendo kind of moves over and announces it, which I do think that it will be later this year with an announcement and then a launch next year or early 2024 announcement and then launch later. Check out some of my videos before. I'll have a link for you guys in the description where I do talk about Nintendo Switch 2, kind of what's going on there. Now, the last topic that we're going to discuss here is a brand new Ask the Developers on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's actually pretty cool to see what the developers had to say about this, and one of the big things about this game was whether it was going to just be DLC or what was going on with Tears of the Kingdom, a sequel. If you read the whole developer ask, which I will let you guys read that, but it seems like this game was always going to be a sequel amongst many other things that they talked about in terms of the development atmosphere and what they wanted to do with this and how they wanted to create something within the same world but add so much density and richness to it. It was a very good read, and it's very interesting as well. I always liked the Iwata asks back when he did those, RIP to Mr. Iwata and everything. I always liked those so much, so I like when they do them here, especially with these type of games. And I know that they've talked about it with like a lot of the big games that come out. Xenoblade Chronicles, they've had one for other games as well over the number of years, and this one is really good. So it gives you a little bit more insight on what they're thinking and the game itself and kind of what's going on with it. Tears of the Kingdom is going to be one of those games that we're probably going to be playing for a half decade plus. I think people are still going to be playing this game 5, 6, 7 years from now, just like people still play old Zelda games. I mean, decades later, people still play Ocarina of Time, speedrun it, all of that. People still play all the old classics. You know, people still want Oracle and Minish Cap and all these different games. With the GBA online, we got Minish Cap, so people love that type of stuff. So I think that this game is going to be one of those games because of how unique it is, because of the style that it is. People are going to be playing this for so long, so it's going to be cool for people to kind of have this as a reference to the development of the game, in addition to having the game being here and kind of checking, saying, oh, okay, I can see what they were talking about here, or I see what's going on with that. So it's a pretty cool read. Check it out. Don't want to spoil it for you guys. Definitely check it out yourself and see what you think about what Mr. Aonuma and his team had to say about this. But if you go through and look at the interview, man, there is a lot of experience, a lot of Zelda experience, a lot of fresh new people, a lot of people that have been around for a while. It's kind of a nice mix, and I think that's how Tears of the Kingdom ended up being as great as it was, because they have a mix of people who worked on this Zelda, that Zelda, this Zelda, who's director here or who was lead here, all kind of coming together and putting together these dope ideas to get the original Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and then even make the sequel bigger and better than ever. But all right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you check out my other videos on the channel. We got plenty of Tears of the Kingdom content and more right here on screen. And of course, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you enjoy the content. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next video. Peace.